Hi everyone, it's Konrad Bobilak here, CEO of Investors Prime Real Estate and author of Australian Property Finance Made Simple. Today's video is really exciting because it's not very often that I get to present such amazing opportunities for some of you. And you know, the hardest thing about investing is really to get started. Once you get started, it's going to be a natural progression. Most people that start well and build up a good team, they pretty much become lifelong investors. For a lot of you though, the biggest challenge is getting into the market, and getting into the market means saving a deposit and paying stamp duty. Now stamp duty is an absolute killer in Melbourne and Sydney. I mean, it's become ridiculous, especially on properties around the $600 to $1 million mark. You know, you're paying 40, 50 grand in stamp duty. So this video today is really interesting because I'm going to show you how in the current market I've negotiated deals with developers directly where they are willing to pay the entire cost of stamp duty on brand new properties. And also, more importantly, I'm going to show you how you can do the same yourself and how you can negotiate in the current market and get some discounts. And also, for those of you who don't want to negotiate, go and hassle developers directly, you're more than welcome to take some of these deals that I've negotiated in bulk as well. So for some of you, this will be an amazing opportunity to get into the market, and especially for those who have low savings and not much deposit money. So welcome to this very short video. For some of you who don't know who I am, and this is the first time you're watching a video thinking, who is this guy talking about discounts and stamp duty? My name is Konrad Bobilak, and very quickly, I'm a real estate agent in Melbourne. I've been in the property game for over 20 years. My background is also mortgages and finance. I've had a mortgage broking company in the past, and traditionally I come from a very structured background. I worked with managed funds and unlisted property trusts, and I've got a diploma of financial planning and financial services. The most important thing is that I'm also an investor like you guys. I'm very passionate about investing in real estate. I've got a massive portfolio here in Melbourne, so I've got my finger on the pulse, so to speak, and I'm in the market every single day, not just as a real estate agent, but also as an investor. So the information that I'll be sharing with you today is real, it's current, accurate, and it's specifically for the Melbourne property market. Also, I'm an author of Australian Property Finance Made Simple, which is about to become a best-selling book, so if you want to get a copy of that, definitely more than welcome to. Any bookshop, Amazon, or simply go to my website, bookonfinance.com.au. Also, as a special bonus, for those of you who was to watch the entire video to the very end, I'm going to give you a special online home study that you can access immediately, which consists of 10 hours of education, plus you get a manual to accompany that course as well. And that's absolutely free, nothing to buy, no upsell, free, no strings attached. You can just literally click and you'll be educating yourself on how to build and structure a large property portfolio that could potentially replace your income. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to go through a little bit about the cyclical nature of the Australian property market, and I'm going to go back in time a little bit to show you how cyclical and predictable it is to some extent. I'm going to also show you where we currently are in the property cycle. This is very important for us to understand because the nature of these deals that I'll be discussing are only possible in certain parts of the property cycle. I'm also going to show you why these kinds of deals are always negotiated at the bottom of the property cycle, mainly when the market's quiet like it is now in Melbourne, with auction clearance rates around the 65% mark. And also I'm going to talk about stamp duty, exactly what it is, how it's calculated, what are different thresholds, and what's the formula for calculating stamp duty. And this is relevant for you as a first home buyer or an investor as well. The most exciting part, which is towards the end of the video, is I'm going to show you specific deals and examples of the stuff that I've been able to negotiate for myself and some of my clients in the current market. I mean, I love this market. I hate when the market's booming. When the market's booming and it's hot, you can't negotiate anything because everything sells. That's why it's called a seller's market. Now we're transitioning from a seller's market in some parts of Melbourne into a buyer's market. And this is the time where smart investors make an absolute killing because they can buy the same properties at a slight discount or better terms of settlement. Just like think about the end of the year stock stock take sales that you see in shopping centres. It's the same piece of clothing, the same suit, the same jumper, the same shoes, the same electrical goods, but at a slight discount. And this is where I buy majority of my stuff. I mean, I hate shopping. In fact, I almost get tingly when I think about shopping. I just hate it, right? My wives love shopping, by the way. But when I go shopping once a year to get my suits, and I buy 6, 7 suits and 4 pairs of shoes, and I buy my shirts for work, etc., I only buy them at a sale because I get the same stuff at a discount. The same with electricals. If I'm buying a plasma screen for 3 or 4 grand at JB Hi-Fi, I do it usually when I have the sales on. Same with property, guys. It's the same fundamentals. But here's the thing, you've got to know exactly what to look for, because there's no point getting educated when the market's down, because when the market's down, everyone's negative. And when I see everyone, the people that are not in the market looking inwards into the market. So you're going to see a lot of media talking about how the market's going to crash and the doom and gloom is going to be, resurfacing again from their cubicles, prophesizing Armageddon and the sky's falling and we're all going to end up with worthless properties, which is obviously not the case. It's a very cyclical market. It goes up and down. It's very predictable. And this is what this video is exactly about. I'm also going to show you how you can negotiate your own deals and get these kinds of deals yourself. And for those of you who don't want to negotiate yourself, you're more than welcome to get access to some of the deals that I've negotiated directly with developers. I'll show you how you can access those at the very end of this video. So here's the historical cyclical nature of the Australian property market. You can see that since 1880, the market's been really flat in Australia. And in the 1950s, we had a massive spike. And what happened in the 1950s, we had the European skilled migrant program introduced in Australia, where we wanted to grow as a nation. So the government decided to create a program attracting skilled migrants from Europe. And this is what the Greeks and Italians and all the Europeans came to Australia. You can see the massive spike in population back in the 50s. And what they did was they got educated, got jobs, and they started buying real estate, and they've never stopped. And this is really one of the main drivers behind the real estate market, is that immigration into the major capital cities in Australia. I mean, Melbourne's got 130,000 people moving to Melbourne every single year. And by the way, these are not the broke migrants of the 50s where they're coming over with a suitcase. I mean, these guys are coming over with suitcases filled with cash. We've got people from China and Russia coming in with $2-3 million in cash. They're not buying in house and land estates, guys. They're buying in the best suburbs in Melbourne, where there's virtually no stock available anyway, to get their kids into the best schools and to get into the most affluent suburbs. And this is what's really pushing up prices in a lot of these areas. So what we're seeing here is a Sydney property market since 1901. And you can see that there was a lot of volatility into the 1950s when the Sydney market took off. And you can see that it's never stopped. The median price in Sydney, by the way, in 1901 was £1,000, $1,000 in today's terms, for a fully built house. And today it's well over $1 million. And here's some posters from the 1800s where you could have got, this is the original subdivision for Brunswick in Melbourne, where you can see it was just cow paddocks, basically farmland that was subdivided for the first time, and they were selling lots where you're paying a £5 deposit, and you can pick up a block of land for 15, 20, 30, 50, £100, depending on the size of the block and location. So you can see that how the cyclical nature of the market. These blocks today are probably worth about 1.5 million plus, depending on the size of the block. This is another subdivision, also in West Brunswick, where it was just farmland. It's crazy to think about that. From the late 1800s. And you can see there, this is the original subdivision. You can see that how the blocks vary in size drastically. I mean, these blocks are tiny, probably for a single-fronted Victorian, where these blocks here are virtually, 6-7 times bigger than some of these other blocks. So, they vary in price from around £15-20 up to £100, which is incredible. This is another example of Mornington, which is another township in Melbourne, which is quite a good area for capital growth. So the market is obviously cyclical, goes up and down. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on talking about the whole history of the market, because I've done other videos on that very topic. The reason I wanted to cover this very quickly is to do with these opportunities here, where we have a market that is going down slightly, and not only does it go down the median price slightly, in Melbourne we've lost about 1.6 to 1.8% off the median price. this time compared to same time last year. That doesn't mean that every property in Melbourne has devalued by 1.6 percent. Some properties have gone up, some are going sideways, some have gone down by 10%. There's no such thing as a Melbourne property market, guys. Remember, there's 390 suburbs in Melbourne, 8 distinctive markets doing very distinctive things. So if you ask someone about the Melbourne property market, forget about it. It's not there is no such thing as a Melbourne property market. The reason I'm showing you this is because we know the market will recover. We know the market will always do well over a long period of time. And this is what property investing is all about. It's a long-term, get-rich-slowly strategy. Having said that, these are the opportunities where people have made an absolute killing. Now, these people are people that are educated, they know exactly what to look for, and they know how to negotiate. And this is why now is a really good time where you can negotiate with developers and get discounts on properties. And developers fall into 2 categories, by the way. There are mum and dad developers who have mortgaged their house to the hills, they're stressed, they're building their 2 townhouse development or 3 townhouse development in the same suburb they live in, all around the corner, because that's their comfort zone. Now, those people are impossible to negotiate with because they feel they deserve every cent and they won't discount a townhouse by even $1,000. In fact, even when the market is at the lowest point, they'll still hold on to their properties and they'll never discount them. And it almost becomes the false economy for them because some of these properties sit on the market for a year or 2. And they'll ride it out to the end, but they'll get their price eventually. They can go bankrupt sometimes, but hell, they'll hold on to those properties. These are not the people that you want to negotiate with, and I don't deal with these people at all. So if you're a mum and dad developer, don't come to our company. We won't sell your stock. We're not interested. I deal with companies that are corporate developers. These are people that have no emotional attachment to the projects. They are very easy to negotiate with because they're not mum and dad developers. They do hundreds of builds per year. A lot of them do, one of the developers that I'm working with, which I'll show you in a second, they do 300 to 400 builds per year. And for them, when the market's slow, they just want to continue the momentum of sales. So they're happy to give you a discount of 5 or 10% if it means moving their stock quickly. And these are the kind of developers that I target when I negotiate discounts or better terms of settlement or discounts on stamp duty. So these are the time, guys, to go in and negotiate hard. During the GFC, I remember I was speaking at a number of conferences saying, people, this is the time to buy property. It's not going to be this cheap for a long period of time. And, during the GFC 2008, people saying, yeah, the sky's falling. Australia's going to crash. You guys will lose everything. How many Americans came over on speaking tours saying, hey, guys, this is the end of your property market. You're going to have the biggest crash in Australia. In fact, your market will be slow for decades to come. And what happened? It was all bullshit, right? It recovered and then hit a peak of $600,000 and now it's nearly $800,000. What happened? All the experts that came over in 2008, where are they now? They were wrong and now they're coming back again. Okay, we were wrong back then, but this time we really know it's going to crash. We're really certain. Here's my book, buy it, because it's going to crash for real. And this is where you have to invest your money into gold and term deposits and all the other crap. This is where I was buying a lot of property during the GFC, and this is where a lot of developers that I work with made an absolute killing. Remember, there's more wealth made at the bottom of the market than any other time in the market for specific individuals. There's a transfer of wealth at the bottom, and the transfer occurs between the uneducated and the educated. There's a flow-on effect of money. Obviously, there is more capital growth at the peak, but remember, the average Australian only has one property. 72.8% of Australians only have one property, and it's comparable to what they live in. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that have 10, 15, 20 properties. This is where they buy and they negotiate hard. This is where you want to get in as a smart investor, and the time to get in is now. I'm seeing deals right now in the market in Melbourne, and I'm seeing really good terms of settlement and slight discounts. So I love the market when it's down. I hate the market when it's booming. I mean, it's great for my property portfolio because I look really smart, but what I'm saying is for new deals, I want the market to be depressed and negative. That's when I go in hard and negotiate. Now, it's all about opportunity cost as a risk-reward scenario with property. When I started educating myself, 20 years ago in investing. I was reading a lot of books, and I was doing, courses, structured traditional courses like the Diploma of Financial Planning. And I used to think there was market risk, that market risk had a big aspect to play in the probability of someone becoming successful or unsuccessful. Now, after 24 years of investing, I can tell you now, I don't believe in market risk at all. There is no market risk. The whole risk is with you. There's only the investor risk. So if you want to know where the risk is currently with the market, it's you. Look in the mirror, you're the risk. If you feel uncertainty and if you're confused, that's your fault because you haven't been educated enough. You've got to get educated enough to such a point that you're almost bored with what's happening. If you're not there, it's just a question of time and education. It's not about how smart you are, guys, because I've got doctors and solicitors and surgeons that are not educated in property investing. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter what your level of education is in terms of traditional education, whether you're a high school dropout or whether you've done a uni degree. It's just about time. So you've got to understand one key fundamental thing. When the market goes down, the deals can be made, but the deals are made only by people who are very educated, meaning they've got the level of awareness increased to such an extent they know exactly what to buy. The rest of the people sit back on the sidelines and they watch the whole thing unfold. And I know which side of the fence I want to be on. And so this is the thing, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. And remember, the time of the fearful is coming. I can feel it in the media. People are rejoicing that the market has had a slight correction and the market is slowing down. I could feel it. The articles are coming out and a lot of people saying, yes, this is the beginning of a crash. Well, obviously it's not, but I wish it was because then I could just clean up and get massive discounts on properties. So yeah, absolutely. Your maximum point of risk return is obviously at the peak of the market, which is fine. But I'll tell you what, the best time to buy is the maximum point of opportunity is at the bottom of the market. Now, I'm not an expert in the sense that I can never predict when the bottom is, mainly because the statistics and data that we're looking at are always around 6 to 12 months old. So we're always looking back in the market saying, oh, that's where we were 3 months ago and that's where we were 6 months ago. So you don't even know where you are at the market currently. But I'm not talking about reading RP data, auction clearance rates every week and all that kind of information. That information is not updated accurately and it's misleading at best of times. I'm talking about when all the data gets captured and really analysed, But having said that, we are kind of going through a kind of a fear denial kind of a scene right now because I am seeing a very negative consumer sentiment coming out and also a lot of developers, their sales are slowing down. And I'm feeding into that fear when I'm talking to developers because I want to get deals for myself and my clients. So where are we in the property clock currently, according to Harrington White Valuers? We're pretty much at the peak of the market, going into a decline. So you're going to see in the next probably 6 months going into a decline in Melbourne and eventually going into a declining market. This is the time to make really good deals happen. This is the time where you want to lock in your new valuations and increase your lines of credit on your property portfolio. So what I do as an investor now is I do counter-cyclical investing. I buy properties when people are selling a negative, which is kind of from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And then when the recovery starts, this is where I'm revaluating my properties and getting all my lines of credit locked in for the next time we go around this property cycle. So currently we're at the peak going into a decline in Melbourne, which is really cool for bargains, Bargain City. Why are the best deals always negotiate at the bottom of the property cycle? Because the developers that I negotiate with have no emotional attachment to their stock. They just want to get rid of their stock because the moment that a developer secures a site, every day they hold on to that site, interest is running and his profit margins are diminishing. So as a developer, the moment you secure a site and you've got your development approval, your number one priority is to sell all the properties to lock in your profit margin. And the average developer works on a 25 to 35% profit margin on a townhouse development in Melbourne and Sydney. So that's why they're so easy to deal with because it's not their own stock. You see, it's not like they've got the house mortgaged and they've got all this risk. These developers are professional developers employed by corporate entity to do these projects. So just like going to the Victorian market, when do you buy mangoes? Do you buy it on Saturday morning? No, you buy it on Sunday when the market's closing. When the guy wants to just pack up all his stuff and get into the truck and go home. That's when you go in and buy boxes of stuff, of fruit. You don't buy it day one. In the morning, in the first hour of trading, are you going to get a discount on any kind of fruit? Forget about it. You might get a small discount. When do you get all the discounts? When the market is closing. In the property game, it's when the market is negative. That's when you get all the discounts. You get the discounts right here, guys, when the market goes down, which is awesome. So when is the best time to negotiate and make an offer to buy real estate at a discount? I'll tell you when. From traditional real estate, established properties, the best time to make an offer is after the property has been passed in at auction. And remember, the auction clearance rates right now in Melbourne are 65%. So 3.5 properties are passed in at every sale, every auction. Every 10 auctions. So out of 10 properties that are listed on the market, 6.5 sell, 3.5 get passed in. Now remember, that agent works on a commission. Most agents work on a small retainer, 35, 40, 50 grand, and they get 1% plus GST for selling a property. So if they sell a $700,000 home, they get 7,000 plus GST. Now they don't care if they sell it for 700 or 800. The difference between 700 and 800 for an agent is 7,000 plus GST to 8,000 plus GST. They just want to get the sale. Okay? The most important thing to understand about real estate agents is they always work for themselves first, for the buyer second, and for the vendor third. This bullshit about agents working for the vendor is fair. If you believe that, you believe in Santa Claus. Okay? That's what you get taught when you do your agent certificate. Whoever works for anyone else, it's ridiculous. When you sit there doing these courses, you go, who does the agent work for? Oh, absolutely the vendor. Yes, he represents his needs. What a load of crap. The agent works for himself to make money. That's the reality. Why else will he be working? He doesn't want to make vendors rich. Oh, he's a charity worker that goes around making people rich because he loves helping people to sell their homes. Come on, let's get real, guys. Agents are salespeople that work for themselves, number one, for the buyer, number two, for the vendor, number three. That's the reality. Now, when they've been marketing this house of yours for 5 weeks, they hate the house, they hate you because you're a whinger probably. They haven't sold it, they feel pissed off. They've got their BMW or Mercedes-Benz payment due at the end of the month because they have to have a BMW M series or an AMG Mercedes-Benz. Otherwise, they're just a pleb agent, right? Every agent has to have an AMG Mercedes-Benz. Otherwise, what are they doing, And they've got this pressure on them to sell the property, and that's when you go in, you hang around the auction when everyone leaves, and you start making offers. That's when you can get discounts. And that's when the agent will tell you, well, realistically, let's say the house got passed in at 750 with a vendor bid. Well, they'll tell you, look, they'll take 730, that's the lowest they'll go. Or they'll tell you, look, they'll take 700, They're desperate, they've got to move out of the property because of X, Y, Z. That's when you get the agent to work for you as a buyer, not the vendor. The second best time is Monday morning when all the agents are back in the office, depressed. They're not really. I'm harsh on agents. I shouldn't be saying that. I'm probably going to get hate emails from agents. Don't tell them all this stuff, No, Monday morning when all these properties are passed in, that's when you can make lowball offers on properties. They're the best 2 times to make offers on property. With an established developer that sells and creates off-the-plan townhouses or brand new stock, the best time to make offers is when the market is slowing down. These ones you can make any time. This is when the market is slow. And you can feed into their fear. Especially with agents like myself, they ask me, how's the market going? Look, it's slowing down. We have this war inquiry into the banking system. They've changed the credit scoring algorithms. It's harder to borrow money now. The banks, the major fours are not interested in doing investment lending. So the second and third tier lenders have picked up all the loans and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what is stamp duty? Before we talk about discounts on stamp duty, what is stamp duty and how is it calculated in Victoria? Stamp duty is basically a fee that you pay to the State Revenue Office on transfer of land on real estate. So for dutiable transactions occurring after the 1st of April 2012, the time period for paying stamp duty is 30 days. Normally when you settle a property, your lawyer will get you to pay the stamp duty on the same day at disbursement. But you do actually legally have up to 30 days to pay stamp duty to the State Revenue Office. You can hold that money in your mortgage in an offset account for 30 days and earn that interest, guys. I would never pay stamp duty on the day of settlement. You're giving money away for 30 days. $50,000, 30 days sitting in an offset account off your mortgage is better than sitting with the government. Think about it. So always when you're selling a property, make sure you pay stamp duty on the last day that you are legally obligated to pay stamp duty. It's always better for that money to sit in your account rather than the government's account. Now, the Victorian government has announced that they'll be legislating new stamp duty concessions for first home buyers, which they have from the 1st of July 2017. So as an incentive to get first home buyers into the market, the government has created a really cool concession on stamp duty. So for properties of $600,000 and under, there is no stamp duty payable by first home buyers as long as they qualify for the first home buyers grant. And then for properties between $600,001 and $750,000, there'll be a reduced stamp duty on the sliding scale, regardless of whether or not they're new or established. And this is the sliding scale that we have on stamp duty for first home buyers. So for $600,000 and less, there is no stamp duty, and at $605,000, there's $1,046. And then it goes up to $750,000, $40,000, $70,000, and then it's basically there's no discount after that. And that's a lot of money. I mean, $40,000 in stamp duty is a lot of money. You know, I'm happy to pay $1,000, $5,000. That's fine. Even like 11 is getting up there. You know, I mean, it's a fee. It's not even, you're not paying for anything. It's a fee of transacting. Think about it. You know, 40, 50 grand, and once you get to $1 million, you're looking at like 60 grand. I mean, come on, it's just become a joke now. Now, no one's going to touch it. Both the Liberals and Labors are not going to touch it because it's a massive revenue earner for the state government. You know, it's billions of dollars per year that they're making off the back of the real estate industry. So who's going to be touching that? No one. It's suicide. You know, you might touch one section of it and tinker with it with a good reason, but to restructure the whole thing, so you're paying instead of 40 grand, 3 grand, I mean, where are they going to get the rest of the money? We've got booming population growth, massive issues with transport, infrastructure, schools, all the usual issues that Melbourne and Sydney always has. I mean, this is a massive revenue generator for the government. It's not going to change. In terms of investment purchases, you have stamp duty, which is calculated with the following sliding scale. 0 to 25,000, you're paying 1.4%, which is $350. Then 25,000 to 130, you're paying $350 plus 2.4% of the value in excess of 25,000. 130,000 to 960, you're paying this $2,870 plus 6% of the amount in excess of 130,000. And then more than 960, you're paying 5.5. So once you get to $1 million, you're effectively paying $55,000. You know, you're paying 5.5% virtually onwards. So it's a lot of money that you're paying in stamp duty. I hate it. That's why I'm really happy when I negotiate discounts on it. So, how to save stamp duty on contract nomination. This is a really cool stuff that happens. This is a real example that I'm going to show you. And one of my clients bought this property back in 2017. It was an entry-level property in Sunshine North. It was a 2-bedroom townhouse. Which is $485,000. Sunshine North is a rough area in Melbourne that's transitioning into an okay to good area. It's not a top 40 suburb. It's not even a top 100. But it is an area that I have a lot of faith in because it is only 11 k's from the city and it's quite well located in terms of proximity to the city and transport infrastructure, hospitals, schools, that kind of stuff. So it's an entry level into the property market. Now, this is the actual row of townhouses there. You can see the city there in the distance, 12 kilometres away. In this property, the property was sold before June the 30th, 2017 off the plan, whereby the stamp duty was still calculated on the land component only. This is the old system that we used to have before June the 30th, 2017, not the build. So for a $485,000 purchase, the land was valued at only $110,000. The stamp duty was $6.5 grand rather than $24,510, which is what you're paying for it now, thanks to the Labor government. So this was introduced in 2017, June the 30th. So if you buy a townhouse today for $485,000, you would pay $24,510 in stamp duty. Back then, it was only $6.5 grand. Now, what happened was the buyer could not settle the project because their financial circumstances and personal circumstances have changed. So we had to release the buyer from the contract. How do we release the buyer from a contract? Because they've signed a contract, their name and or nominees, in Victoria, this allowed them to nominate another party or another buyer at the time of settlement. So I had another client who wanted to buy a townhouse, and he would love to pick up a really good discount on the stamp duty, and they took over the contract through a nomination form, thereby paying a 10% deposit for the property, and the moment they paid the deposit, the old deposit less fees got released back to the old buyer. So he was free to go with his deposit. The new buyer had the townhouse virtually completed with only $6,500 in stamp duty. So there's an opportunity now to buy these kind of properties through nomination contracts. They're very rare, but they do come up. So the new buyer pays $6,500 in stamp duty rather than the full $24,170, saving themselves $17,670, which is a lot of money compared to what he's paying for the property. The original buyer gets a 10% deposit back, less any fees. It's a win-win-win scenario because the original buyer wins because he got his deposit back, he can't settle. A new buyer wins because he's getting a brand new townhouse completed with virtually no stamp duty, and the developer wins because all he wanted was for someone to settle his property. So it's literally a win-win-win scenario. So what happens is, let's call him John Smith. His actual name is not John Smith, obviously. He bought a property for $485 in 2017, signing the contracts under the old stamp duty system. Contracts were signed, but he was smart. His lawyer told him to put John Smith and or nominees, allowing him to nominate another entity, a trust, a company, or another individual at the time of settlement. Stamp duty was only $6,500. 12 months passes, his situation changes. He can't settle anymore because he can't get finance. He wants to get out of the contract. I find Bob Anderson, which is also not a real name, by the way, who would love to buy this townhouse and would love to pay $6,500 in stamp duty in 2018 rather than the full stamp duty, which is $24,170. So through a nomination, we get the old buyer to give the contract to the new buyer who takes over the contract through a nomination form. The developer gets his money at the end, which is his 10% deposit, and the balance from the bank. It's a win-win-win all around. Now, there is a very short window of opportunity to get these kinds of deals because these are deals that were predominantly sold at the beginning of 2017 with a 12-month build. So they're really coming up now for settlement. And out of 100 transactions, there's always one that's in trouble from my experience because people's jobs change, they get divorced, whatever happens in their life, they might not be able to settle. So this is where we can re-sign those people out of those contracts into new contracts. So I've got currently a couple of deals that are offered to me by developers. These are not my clients, by the way. These are clients that were just sold in the open market where the original buyer wants to get out of the contract, but the stamp duty is the old stamp duty under the old system. So interested in those or being on the list, simply send me an email and I'll put you on the waiting list so I can get in touch with you and let you know what's available. Here's some specific real property deals that I've personally negotiated substantial stamp duty rebates or discounts. In these examples, the developer pays either a part of the stamp duty or the entire cost of the stamp duty to the State Revenue Office at the day of settlement. So I'm going to show you some real deals. Here's a project in Keilor Downs, Victoria. These are townhouses which are $689,300. Keilor Downs is a lower middle class suburb, pretty good, 17 k's from the city. It's coming up now. They're really pumping a lot of money into the area. It's turning from a lower middle class into a middle class suburb, and there's some parts of it that are almost going into upper middle class kind of stratosphere. Good shopping, good access to the city through the Western Ring Road. These are large houses, 3-bedroom, two double lock-up garages. Double lock-up garages, 3.5 bathrooms. Very nice properties. 17 k's from the city sounds like a lot now, but let me tell you, in 10 and 20 years from now will be nothing compared to how far Melbourne is spreading out. So once again, it's a really good layout. You've got a double lock-up garage with a bedroom downstairs with an ensuite. Then you have open plan living with a balcony with a toilet for guests. And then upstairs you have a master bedroom with built-in robes with an ensuite and another bedroom with a balcony with also an ensuite. So really good location in terms of where it is. It's opposite a shopping centre, and there's a childcare centre next to it and the police station. It's 203 square metres in size, which includes a 43 square metre garage. 3 bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, double lock-up garage. In this example, so they're practically 21 squares. There's only a few left in this project, and the purchase price is $689,000. What I've managed to negotiate with this developer is the full stamp duty on the purchase is $36,428, and I've managed to negotiate a $20,000 stamp duty rebate directly with the developer. Therefore, you get a rebate at settlement of $20,000, which is offsetting your stamp duty, so you only pay stamp duty of $16,428. If you are interested in securing one of those, send me an email. I'll send you all the project information. Box Hill. I love Box Hill. It's one of the best growth areas right now in Melbourne. When you think about it, Box Hill shouldn't actually do what it does. There's nothing really in Box Hill. It's a good area, don't get me wrong. Very wealthy people, good area, but let's face it, there are many better looking suburbs in Melbourne than Box Hill with better shopping, better schools that are not doing anywhere near as good as Box Hill in capital growth. And this is an article that came out recently talking about Box Hill and how over the last 5 years it has an astonishing appreciation of 167.4% over 5 years, with the average house has skyrocketed to 1.7 million, which is incredible. Box Hill's growing at 12 to 15% per year, and it's not slowing down. Even in this market, it's still going very strong. It shouldn't do this well, but it is, okay? I'm not questioning why it's doing it. I know that it is doing it, and I'm just sourcing properties there for my clients, and my clients are making a killing. This is a development in Thames Street in Box Hill North. There's 8 townhouses there, 795,000. These are due to complete kind of end of this year. Now, what I like about Box Hill is I love the medical precinct. When I used to work for NAB Medfin, which was a specialist lender division of the National Bank of Australia, and I used to do lending in the medical community. I used to look after the Box Hill Hospital, which is just there, and all the specialist suites. I can tell you now, guys, the best tenant you can ever get is a doctor or a medical person with high income. They're very responsible, they're smart, they're educated, and they have a lot of money, and they work incredible hours. That's your number one tenant. The opposite of that is someone that hangs around your house all day long, has no money, and is uneducated, okay? So if you want to get your property damaged, that's what you aim for. Anyway, here's where I'm sourcing majority of the townhouses, literally opposite the hospital precinct. So I'm specifically finding properties for investors who are targeting doctors as their tenants, because doctors sometimes work 12, 15, 16-hour shifts. I've heard of doctors working 24 hours straight. And obviously they can't drive after that. So what they look for is townhouses or accommodation literally across the road from the hospital where they can just go and crash and come back. So this is where the project is located. It's literally across the road from the hospital, from the Box Hill Hospital. And apart from that, you've got the best schools in the area. You've got a major shopping centre. You've got a TAFE facility, parks, primary schools, everything else. But the number one selling aspect of this property is the beautiful location across the road from the shopping centre. And this is the configuration of this property. It's a single car garage, open plan living. So you have one large open plan dining and kitchen meals area with a toilet for guests. And then upstairs you have 2 bedrooms with an ensuite. So it's a very good configuration. There's only 8 in this project. So in terms of, they are all sold except for 2, which is number 4 and number 6. And this project is very good locations. It's a boutique little project. This is the configuration of the area. So you have a single car garage, open plan living with a bathroom, and then you have an ensuite that's shared between 2 bedrooms upstairs, with one of them being a master bedroom. Now, so you got 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1 car garage. Purchase price $795,000. The full stamp duty on this purchase is $42,770 when that's completed. Now the property isn't completed yet; it's just at lock-up stage. So you get a percentage of the completed building works calculated on the day that you buy the property. The full stamp duty rebate from this, in the example, is $30,000, which is payable by the developer towards the stamp duty at settlement. So you're saving yourself, $30,000. And there's only 2 left. So this is actually a mistake. It shouldn't be saving. It should be $12,770 is the amount that you're paying for stamp duty. Apologise for that. See, I do make mistakes. I'm only human. By the way, do not send me an email that I've made a mistake. Sometimes I get these pedantic people saying, you've misspelt this word. I don't give a shit if I've misspelt a word. I'm showing you how to make money and save 30, 40 grand on a property transaction. My job is not to become an English major. English isn't my first language, so I wasn't born in Australia anyway. So, if you do see any spelling mistakes, I don't really care. Don't send me any emails, okay? If you see mathematical mistakes or any kind of mistakes in my methodology, then definitely send me an email. This is the project next door, same developer. Project is completed, 100%, just completed, never been lived in. 142 to 144 Thames Street, Box Hill North. This time it's 15 townhouses, 795,000. This is what exactly, and literally the other project is right next to it. So you can see this is what the end product will look like. The only thing is it's got a slightly different colour scheme. This is a downstairs area. So polished floorboards, very good ceiling height, stainless steel appliances, Caesar granite bench tops, air conditioning in major areas. Just a really nice, simple townhouse. Good sized balcony, good sized living area. Upstairs you have 2 bedrooms with a common ensuite in the middle. Some people call it Jack and Jill configuration. That's the other bedroom there. You can see there, that's the common ensuite in the middle. And once again, this project is sold out, but there are 5 available in this project. And for this project here, which is incredible, the 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage, $795,000. The stamp duty on this is $42,770, and the developer will actually cover the entire cost of stamp duty. So you are literally saving 100% of the stamp duty, $42,770, which is incredible. So all you got to do is come up with a 10% deposit. You don't need to worry about stamp duty. I mean, I've only got 5 of these guys. By the way, I speak to a lot of developers every year. I probably deal with a group of 60 to 70 developers ongoingly, and I only get 5, 6, 10 of these kind of creative deals each year. Last year I had a number of vendor finance deals. This year I've got no vendor finance deals at all. I've only got stamp duty discounted deals and a couple of smaller deposit deals where instead of 10% you can pay 5%. So these are really rare. These transactions are not common, by the way. There has to be a certain set of circumstances for the developer to have in order to enable him to give you these kinds of discounts. Now, there's only 5 left there, so if you are interested in securing one of those, the moment when you watch this video, send me an email. I'll send you the information and the availability of the project, and then it's up to you. This is the last example, which is in Essendon, which is a really nice suburb. Probably one of the best suburbs in that part of the world. Essendon High being a really top school in the area that everyone wants to go to. And these are also completed townhouses. There's 7 in the project, so very boutique. $675,000. There's 3 left in that one. And in this example, the developer's also covering part of the stamp duty. So there's the 3 that are available. Single car garage, and these are 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom and 1 car garage. So mainly kind of built for a single person or a couple with no children. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 car garage, $675,000. Full stamp duty on the purchase price, $35,570, and full rebate by the developer on the first one, and then subsequent ones you get $30,000. So there's 3 left. The first one gets $35,570, and the other 2 get $30,000. First in, best dressed kind of a deal. Now, why are these deals possible? Are they magic? Am I a really good negotiator? I'm not really. It's just the market is down. Developers know that the market has slowed down a little bit, and they just want to continue the momentum of turning over these properties. And this is what I'm doing with developers. I'm negotiating hard, getting deals for my clients, and that's part of what Investors Prime Real Estate does. We source properties directly from developers on behalf of investors, and we negotiate. It's easy for me to negotiate, guys, because I negotiate in bulk. It's always easier to negotiate if you're negotiating 3 or 5 than one individual one. Now, for you as an individual listening to this YouTube video, how can you take advantage of this? How can you go to a developer? Well, the easiest thing to do is show him the properties that they're up against. You know, say, look, I've got access to these properties in Box Hill. This is what Konrad has negotiated from Investors Prime Real Estate. Can you match this and can you give me a rebate on the stamp duty? Otherwise, I'm going to go to him and buy his properties. It's literally that simple. So if I were you, rather than thinking of some way to manipulate the developer through neuro-linguistic programming or some fancy negotiation skills, forget all that. Just show him references of other developers that have discounted their stock, because that's proof itself that the market is slowing down. And that's what I would do. Now, by the way, these deals are only possible at the bottom of the market. When the market recovers, which will be in a few years, forget about it. There'll be no deals like this available. So that's why the smart investors get in at the bottom of the market. If you are interested in learning more about any of the projects that I covered, or any comments, with the exception of spelling mistakes, because I just don't care, please email me directly at conrad@investorsprime.com.au, and I'll send you more information about any of the projects. Are you interested in learning more? And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a little bit. If you are interested in educating yourself and increasing your level of awareness in real estate, then I encourage you to attend one of my up-and-coming real estate investing fast-track weekends. I run about 10 of these per year, one every 6 to 7 weeks. They book out really quickly, and there is a bit of a waiting list now to get into the last few that I were running for 2018. It's a 2-day event. I'm one of the speakers. There's Stephen Molnar, who's a property strategist, Cameron Fisher from Changing Places Real Estate. He's a valuer and a real estate agent for over 30 years of experience, plus Stephen McClutchy from Loans Australia, who has settled over $1 billion worth of real estate through his mortgage broking company, Loans Australia. It's a 2-day event that will teach you everything you need to know from the beginning to a fairly advanced level of how to build, structure and automate a large multi-million-dollar property portfolio from scratch that can replace your income. Day 1 is all about finance and research and due diligence. It's in a classroom environment. It's really cool and small. Also, there's only 40 people per event, mainly because we run it right here in my St Kilda office. And the seminar room just behind me only has literally 50 seats in the room. And, so 40 is the maximum we allow per event. Day 2 is really cool because we take all the knowledge that we gain from day 1, we put you onto a bus, and we do running commentary, and we go through the best suburbs in Melbourne. We go through some projects, and we give you a lot of hands-on education in the trenches with myself and the valuer, so you get to really learn about the suburbs and what types of properties work in different areas. It's an amazing 2-day event. It's one of my favourite things that I do all year round. I mean, I love running these events, and people have a really good time attending these events, and they learn a lot. And the most important thing is these events are free, guys. They're free. I mean, there's nothing you can buy at the event, and there's nothing you can sign at the event. So I encourage you to attend. As a bare minimum, if you want to get educated, definitely pick up a copy of my book from Amazon, or Book on Finance, to learn all the secrets on how to pay off your home in record time and how to structure your whole property portfolio. As a special bonus, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and because you're still watching this video, I want to give you access to my home study, which is actually a recording of the Real Estate Investing Fast Track Weekend from 2016, valued at $497, absolutely free. This is what it looks like when you log in. You literally point and click, play the video and download the manual. And it's 10 hours of content, absolutely free. And basically, all you got to do is go to this link here, or you can scroll down below this video. There's a link to the free home study, and you can be watching it pretty much instantly. It's 10 hours of video plus a 265-page manual that covers the entire PowerPoint presentation throughout the video. And it's yours as a gift from myself to you to make sure that you become educated and you don't make mistakes and you become successful as a property investor. That's all from me, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for watching this video to the end. This is Konrad Bobilak, and I'll see you guys on the inside.